Elvis Costello has written the book, one that details his childhood and musical influences and offers a look at the man behind one of the most extensive songbooks ever. Unfaithful Music and Disappearing Ink is the Grammy Award winner's new memoir. I sat down with him earlier this week to talk about it. Well, let me start at the end, because in the acknowledgments you credit your wife for helping you get through this, because it's
keeping me from going, throwing the typewriter out of the window. Is the way I put it. Well, because I think when you should struggle with writing anything, it shouldn't be so easy. Otherwise, it would just be an entry on Wikipedia or whatever they call it. Like that's why I didn't use the calendar to guide it, because I wanted it to be the things I'd felt. The view I had when I was a child led me to the way I heard music when I was older. So if I started with sitting up in the balcony of the Hammersmith Palais looking at my father on a stage that I later sang on, well, that seemed a better story than I was born and then I did this and then I did that and then my conversion to a strange esoteric religion, whatever the usual story of the arc of many conventional dirt dealing sort of bottom feeding, the sort of stuff you read in the newspapers.
Oh, well, there's so many great stories, but you write a lot about your dad.
Yeah.
And in the beginning and in the middle and in the end, and how important he was for you and the influence he had with obviously your life, but your music as well.
Well, I probably gathered together most of our experiences together, if truth be told, because my parents separated when I was quite young, but the impact that his working life had on the way I heard music was obviously quite strong, because I ended up doing a similar job. I think if I were to write the way I was brought up and my mum raised me, I'd be writing a story that would be too much, in many ways, familiar to people, because it would be, don't stick your fingers in the plug, is that coat warm enough, and that kind of stuff. But also a lot of musical understanding that my mother had, as someone who had sold records at a time when you actually had to know. You couldn't look it up on a computer, you had to know what to recommend. So I was fortunate to have live in a household when both my parents were together, where the borderlines between different styles of music were completely erased by their experience. I mean, they liked jazz, but my dad played music from the hit parade. My mother knew about classical music and had friends who played it or were involved in it, but that wasn't what my dad did. So it was all mixed up. My grandfather had played the trumpet in the army and on ocean liners. So I knew from very young that travel and mischief could be the outcome of getting onto the stage and into the spotlight.
You write about losing him, his illness, and how difficult that is to lose a parent, certainly for anybody, but also, it was a family thing, and Diana was there at the time.
Yeah.
You write about how you think, how are you going to be as a musician? How are you going to write songs that he may not hear? And
well, there's several thoughts contained in that, in response to that question. The first is that, of course, if you've lived a full, if somewhat colourful occasionally life, as my dad had done, to live longer than he ever expected, and then to have several years at the end of his life where all the sensations of music and food and kisses have all been taken away by the condition that you're living in. Kisses is a polite word for it, by the way. But all the sensational things, all the sensual things rather than sensational things, both actually.
Yes.
They were gradually erased. I don't think I could feel that bereft. I don't mean to convey a surprise in any of that. But the great fortune that Diana and I witnessed him take his last breath, and in the shock of him going, realized that his favorite song was playing in the room, was an extraordinary, beautiful coincidence that I had to remark on. I mean, it was a very intimate thing to share with everybody, but I'd be very lucky if I leave this earth hearing the music I love most. I think we all would settle for that. Like some people say, I just want to go to sleep, not wake up. I don't want to die in agony. I don't want to, So it was difficult for a short while for me to consider taking a new record and creating any kind of new recording, because I'd always enjoyed taking them to him, not that I needed his approval, just to share them, because there were things about the music that he understood that other people didn't understand. And I'm fortunate to still have my mother to share that with. I'm fortunate to share my life with a woman who understands what it is to be on the stage, to be away on the road, away from our children, to know how exciting it is to be together again in an instant. You know, there's a different kind of set of understandings that you come to in time. So I tried to write about all of those because they are the accumulation of everything that I'd learned, all the other experiences that have gone in between times. I mean, a few hit records that I had when I was a young man seemed to me just almost be a coincidence to everything else that's come after. You know, that was just getting started.
It's interesting because there's a whole generation, you've got different generations of followers of your music. There's a generation out there that wouldn't have even known about something that happened in Ohio in 1979 and remarks that you supposedly
but
made.
they might read about it on the internet, kind of misread with the wrong participants.
But you chose to put it in here.
I did chose to put it in there because I got myself in a stupid squabble with some other musicians who were notable musicians.
Yes.
And apparently, in the course of a one-upmanship, you know, try to outdo them for outrage. Well, it was an idiotic thing to do, and it was, you know, it was a drunken fight in which words were spoken. People do that all the time. It doesn't get reported in the press. Of course, now it would be reported instantly on Twitter.
Well,
or
somebody would have
you
it on a phone or
something.
something.
Yeah, and then it would be a whole different set of problems. Then it was, you know, people thought they had found me out. Well, look at the rest of my life. What suggests, you know, you won't find any hoods hanging in my closet, you know. I mean, use your intelligence. Listen to the other songs I've sung. Listen to everything else I've ever done. What would suggest that's really what was in my heart there? Was it permissible or excusable? No, absolutely not. I've never ever denied that it was idiotic and reprehensible. But I'm kind of, you know, if you have to accept that now we do live in a world where hearsay is actually louder than real say, you know, then you've got to choose your words, there's the account, now get over yourself, you know.
The stories in here are so thoughtful and inspiring, and all I can say is congratulations and here's to the future success. And I'm glad that this is only the beginning. We'll have more.
Well, I don't know whether it's only the beginning. I didn't mean in books. I meant in life.
And lots,
I hope.
Lots left of that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You'll find Unfaithful Music and Disappearing Ink on our iBooks page. That's at itunes.com/CanadaAM. And for more Elvis Costello, there's an extended version of our interview that'll be on our website.